So, Millicent, thanks a lot for sort of agreeing to this chat.
It's fun. It's fun to be here. I'm glad to see you again.
Very nice. And so let's start from the beginning. Tell me a little bit about yourself and then how you discovered Leela Life and the whole story.
Well, I've been working in public relations and the media for over 30 years. And my subject expertise has been in corporate social responsibility, social impact, and purpose. Now everything is under the umbrella of purpose. All the work that I've been doing, including ESG, which has kind of come and gone over the past few years, but now it's under purpose. And I've been doing that for a long time before it really even had a name.
Got it.
You know, we were calling it CSR, and then it moved to social impact. But in the end, my job was really focused on working with companies to identify ways that they can do good. And our thinking is always that doing good is something that is, you have to doing the right thing is not an option, it's a business imperative.
Got it.
So when I decided to retire, I set a goal for myself to pursue a board position with a startup company or even an established company. But I wanted to make sure that if I would use my skills to help that company build out their corporate social responsibility, to ensure that that was part of their business model. And when I started going down this road to find a good fit, first of all, it's hard. It's a full-time job. And when I started interviewing with different companies, a lot of them were startups. A lot of them were AI startups. And a lot of them would look at my resume and think, okay, she does PR, she does media relations, she does thought leadership, she makes people famous, quote unquote. And they were looking to me to increase visibility so that they could get more funding. And when we would talk about social impact or what their purpose platforms might look like, most of them, all of them actually, really didn't seem too interested in that. They didn't seem to realize that had to be a plank within their business model, because time and again the research has shown that when a company has a social impact or purpose program, it's going to increase their profits. It's good for all of the stakeholders. It's good for your internal audience, your external audience, and your investors. So most of these companies were looking to have visibility without a lot of substance, and they really just wanted that visibility to be within the investment community so that they could
just raise more capital.
And I actually, some of the interviews that I had were actually really kind of awkward, because I could tell that they weren't getting what my expertise was. I mean, obviously they liked my background and they brought me in to meet with some of their stakeholders as well, but they just didn't get it. And then I saw Leela Life, and I thought, wow, like this is something that is really, really important that people need to know about. And from my own experience living in New York for almost 30 years now, raising a family here, and just quote unquote trying to have it all, had really burned me out. I was very, very burned out, and it was impossible for me to have it all, and I was feeling very anxious and overwhelmed. And that was one of the reasons why I decided to retire and move on to something else. I just wasn't getting joy from the work because I was so stressed, even though the work is very joyful and I loved my colleagues and the important things that we did. So when I saw Leela Life, I had sort of a sub-subject expertise when I worked in public relations, and that was working with religious and spiritual organizations. And it started out working with religious and spiritual organizations with women and the lack of women leaders in that space. And then it slowly evolved into helping those organizations raise their profiles of their leadership and the work that they're doing. And I've done that all over the world. So I saw an alignment, not that Leela Life is a spiritual organization, but it's not an AI company trying to start up. So I felt like if I responded to your ad on LinkedIn, maybe you would see that was in there, and you did. And then I actually had to go back and like redo my bio so that I could really focus on that. And I think that it's been a very, very good fit.
I agree. I agree, and I think it's absolutely enjoyed meeting you initially, and then of course all the conversations that we've had right up to now, where we are now actually discussing the whole thought leadership thing, but in a much more, I'd imagine, in a much more purpose-led context from your perspective, right?
Right, and what I had to do was then put on my PR hat and my kind of new client hat and dig deep into I've had so many conversations with you where I ask you some what might seem like very basic questions, but that's how we will get to your thought leadership, and that's how we will get to what is going to resonate with your potential audience and other stakeholders. So I thought that was really important for us to like really understand each other, so I could get a sense of what you're doing. And a lot of it I knew about Indic knowledge. I had worked with a lot of leaders in India who were bringing that Indic knowledge to America at one point or another, including ISKCON and the Hugging Saint Amma and Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. But you were doing it bringing it in for an audience that was very, very specific, that resonated with me. And that was the people who have achieved success, yet for whatever reason they're not happy. And that's just like very, very simplifying it. But that resonated with me because in this world that I'm in New York City, almost to a T, just about everyone I know is feeling that way. They're very accomplished in their careers. They put so much into it. And also, especially my friends who are working mothers, a lot of them were on Wall Street, or they are lawyers and they're running hedge funds and they're also raising their children. And are we really happy? And we sit around and talk about that. And we have moments of happiness, but our lives are so hectic. So I think it's when I started to really dig deep into Leela Life and the type of knowledge that you're bringing to people, it really resonated to me. And once I did the blueprint, that was a major eye-opener for me. In terms of the astrological side of things, I have never been much of a person who's into astrology. I barely even know like what my husband or my children's signs are.
Right.
But it was very interesting to me once I went through the blueprint process. And I'm glad that we did that at the very beginning, before I started to think about how I was going to strategically build out your thought leadership or your media relations strategies, or go to market, those types of things, and how to reach that niche audience. I had to go through it.
Right.
And it was very, very eye-opening. And the process was so, you have to really open up about the good, bad, and ugly of what's going on inside you to make it work. And I think that's really hard for a lot of people to really tell.
Was it hard for you?
There were parts of it that were hard for me, more from an emotional standpoint. Talking about my upbringing, talking about my identical twin sister. I always feel like there's something that has made, something in the universe made my sister and I identical twins, and I'm not sure why I got so lucky that I have an identical twin, because I know how incredibly special that is. Her name is Melanie, and Melanie and I were born 5 minutes apart.
Okay.
And
are you the older one?
I'm the older one.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And so over the years, it's like twin A and twin B.
Right.
I am the older one.
Are you guys look exactly the same, more
Yes.
or less? And yeah, okay.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
look exactly the same. We have the same voice. We have the same mannerisms. We are, really the same person. And she also works in communications. And I've always thought that there was something cosmic about that. Like, why did we get to be identical twins? Like, we're so lucky. But talking about that is like, my sister and I have such a connection that it's sometimes I can't put it into words. So questions about that and that, my relationships, that's hard. It's
Right.
very, very emotional.
Right.
And then talking about both of my parents are gone. So when you start to talk about your family, that's always, because sometimes my mother died almost 30 years ago. I was only in my 20s. So sometimes that's hard to talk about. But I said, I'm just going to do this because if you want to get out of it, what's there, you have to put into it, and you have to be completely vulnerable and talk about what's happening in your life and what is on your mind and what's making you not thrive in certain ways when you know that you can.
Right.
And especially it was hard to talk about some things going on in my family, and some of them were happening right then.
At the moment, then
At the moment,
yeah.
and sometimes when you're in the moment of like a crisis,
Right.
it's hard to see past that, because when I'm in crisis mode, I'm sure my cortisol levels are up, and
Yeah.
like when I got here, I was nervous, but now I'm relaxed. But when I'm in crisis mode, I never relax.
Yeah.
So, and it's very, very hard to focus, and so that was also hard to talk about.
Right.
That was
Okay.
very difficult.
Okay.
But I appreciated it. I thought the online part was helpful to do the questionnaire before, because you do that on your own.
Yeah.
So you're kind of by yourself doing it, and if you're feeling emotions and things like that, you can make it through it. But when I started talking to my Leela Life guide, Carolyn, I realized, and she was fantastic, and she was asking so many questions without it being too much, if that makes sense. She just has a way of getting you to open up and you don't even realize it.
Right. Right. It is nice.
I didn't even realize it.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, and because one of the things we've learned in this whole process is that everybody has their own sort of pace.
Yeah.
Some people will sort of get to a place where they can feel the intention
Right.
strong enough to be able to open up at that point in time, and some others, just
Right.
might take that little longer, and so on and so forth. And that's perfectly all right, because that's the nature of the inherent approach of personalization, which allows you to say that, okay, different people will have different, they'll have a different pace at which they want to do things, or they feel comfortable doing things, and so that's all right. So it's wonderful that you sort of almost got into it right away, and you were able to sort of.
Well, I sort of looked at it like, if you go to the doctor and you don't tell the doctor everything that's going on, then the doctor can't really help you, can't really do a good diagnosis. So that was what I did in my mind. But I have that type of brain, like you just do it, because if you do it halfway, you're not going to get the benefit.
Yeah.
So I decided I was just going to open up and talk about it, and it was good to talk about some of the issues that our family is struggling with, because we do keep it so private, because it is private. It's not my story to tell. I am, like parenting through a difficult time with teenagers. So, like a lot of people are. So, I decided I was going to go for it.
Got it. Okay. That's very good. That's it's actually sort of the basis for getting a lot of effective outcomes, because the moment you have strong intention saying, and that's an innate principle, which says that once you trust the process,
Yes.
the process then starts to reward you that
Yes.
much more.
Yes.
It's just that. And so people ask, why, what does it take to trust?
Yeah.
That's up to you.
Yeah.
For some people it takes, I need to know a lot about it before I can trust it. Some people say, I think I trust myself,
Yeah.
and therefore I'm going to trust
Yeah.
this.
I was definitely in that. That
You
was
were in that.
definitely me.
Yeah.
And again, it's like that's just kind of the way my brain works. It's like I'm going to give it my all, because I think this is going to be really helpful, and it has been, and I am just going to go for it, because I'm very curious about, and plus I needed to see from a public relations perspective and strategically how it works. I had to give it my all, and then get the feedback and then be able to think about how other people would react to it, and what would be missing that some people want, or what could be difficult for some people when it comes time to message this and eventually, do media and pitch it out. So that was another reason.
There was a parallel track.
But
of
I got to
that.
tell you, that was parallel, but it was really I want to feel better in my daily life. I want to feel better. I've been having so much anxiety and so much stress that I want to feel better.
Got it.
So I wanted this to see if that could be another path for me to feel a little bit.
Got it. Okay.
Learn how to handle the crises and things like that come up, because there's always going to be something.
There's always going to be something.
There's always going to be something. We might get through this one, but there's always going to be something. And I need to be able to tap into my innate qualities, and I know from my blueprint that I have that.
Got it. And the interesting thing is this, that whatever are your innate qualities, if you can get your life organized in a manner, it works with your innate qualities, not against them, then you're in a good place.
That's another thing I should probably add, is that with all of the religious and spiritual leaders and gurus that I've worked with, I was always there for work, and I didn't partake, and I was sort of like, I was exposed to all of this, but I didn't partake because I was the person who was on the other end of it.
Yeah.
Trying to, process it, trying to get the media, controlling the media. I mean, at some of these events, we would have dozens and dozens of media there, so I'd be controlling them, and I was not someone very, very famous would be up on the stage, or I would have a private audience with all of these people because I was on the team, and I was in work mode. I wasn't accepting what I wasn't able to appreciate what I was exposed to.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Like in this phase of my life, I can I can actually take it in.
Yeah, I got it. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Makes sense.
I
Makes
need
sense.
it.
Yeah. No, we all do.
I know we all
The
do.
recognition that I need it is actually the big one.
That's the big one.
It's not so much whether we need it or not. There's nobody that I've come across who doesn't need it. It's just that the recognition is important. And for most people, that's a bit of a, it takes some.
And also to set aside the time to do it.
Yeah, but that comes out of the recognition and the
It does,
intention.
it does.
'Cause it's a priority point.
Yeah.
We all have time for whatever, right?
I know.
Yeah, it's just
I
a
know.
priority, or it isn't a priority. So when people tell me that they don't have time, it simply means you're probably not ready.
It's not exactly.
you're not
It's
ready.
not a priority.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
I get it. And I have always been, over the last 20 years of being a working mom, trying to find space for myself. And I think 20 years ago, there wasn't much of that out there. But now there's a lot more women, younger women with children, who are talking openly about prioritizing their own own mental health and their own physical health and well-being. So I think that's a step in the right direction. Even in one generation, I think that's really cool.
Good. So you are now doing your blueprint.
Yes.
You've filled out this questionnaire, which took you some time, some reflection. How much time did it take for you to fill the questionnaire?
Oh gosh,
Don't remember?
I don't really recall. I just remember locking myself in my office. I think I went through it fairly quickly.
Right.
And I felt that the call after I filled that in was really much more. I was able to open up a little bit more, like things I couldn't, answering the questions and things like that. I was able to open up a lot more on the call, and to me that was great.
Yeah. That's exactly the point, by the way, of the call. Because giving your questionnaire enables you to start framing the thoughts in your head.
Yeah.
But the nuance really comes out when you talk, right?
Right.
It's a human thing. You can't really, beyond the point, write that stuff down, right?
And I thought it was so fascinating how at the beginning it was your date of birth, your time of birth. I just think that's so incredibly fascinating, that because I have never, again, astrology and those types of things have never been anything that I've been really interested in or exposed to, actually. And I just thought that was so fascinating.
So here's
that
the thing.
innate quality.
The innate qualities coming out of that. So the innate qualities, before we get into the innate qualities, just to give you a sense again of that, we discussed this at the salon, but just to sort of give you a sense of that, we use 3 methods to arrive at innate qualities, right? And these are all traditional Indian knowledge that's, been there and used in a very systematic way for a long time. One is what is called cosmic influence. Right?
Yeah.
As human beings, we're all completely under the influence of cosmology. And so knowing the time and all of that in the place is the anchor point to deriving what is the cosmology at the time of your birth. What that simply means is what existed as the cosmic surrounding for you when you were born.
It's fascinating.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And this is stuff that's been, so how does that work? For thousands and thousands of years, people have observed that when a baby was born, when baby X was born, this was the cosmology. And they tracked and recorded what happened in that child's life as the child grew into a youngster and then into an adult and then into an elderly and so on and so forth. Over thousands of years, there are records like that. So there's observation, empiricism, science at a level far before the idea of the scientific method was born. This was all happening. And so this is really coming, one of the three methods we use is this, the cosmic influence. And the other two are also equally interesting. The second one is elemental composition, right? All human beings are a unique composition or a blend of 5 elements. Do you know the 5 elements?
I do, yeah.
I told you the 5 elements, right?
Yeah.
So space,
Yep.
air, fire, water, earth, right? And when these combine in certain sort of proportions, you are formed, and in slightly different proportions I'm formed, and so on and so forth. Each one of us has a slightly different combination. And that combination, that percentage of each makes us all unique.
Yeah.
And so again, this has been observed over thousands of years in a very systematic manner, saying, what is the science, what do we believe this person's composition is? And what does that composition seem to translate into as the journey of their life? And what seems to be the qualities that they inherit because of that? So what this knowledge over thousands of years has figured out is that when you have a particular combination of elemental composition, you are likely to have this kind of innate qualities. So just like when you have one particular kind of cosmology, you're predisposed to having a certain kind of set of innate qualities. Similarly, if you have a certain kind of elemental composition, you have a particular type of innate qualities. And the third one that we do is called patterns of energy flows. Every human being is also a pattern of energy flows. And so again, we can do the same thing. There are specialists and experts who figured this out, again, over thousands of years, lineages, which you are aware of because you've been to India, you know these lineages exist, where they can figure that out. So we've actually used these 3 methods to help you figure out your innate quality. So it's a pretty robust, you know. So
I have mine here.
Yeah, and so what was that experience like? So when you came across your innate qualities, and how did they convey that to you, and how did you get to know about it?
Well, I'm going to reference this because I want to make sure.
So this you're referring to is the blueprint report.
This is the blueprint, my blueprint report.
Got it.
And you can see it's dog-eared and highlighted, and I had to learn a lot. There was a lot of language in here that I didn't understand. So, or I had never been exposed to.
Right.
So in terms of, some of the elements and things like that, I was reading through them, and I only really focused on the ones that applied to me.
Right.
Because I thought it would get to be too confusing for me if I started to look at all the other ones that could have potentially been. But I have to tell you, the very first thing, there's a page in here where it's called Millicent's State of Joy. I started to cry when I read this because who else would write this about me? I wouldn't know, no one's that, some people are very self-centered, but I was like, wow, this is me. This is me. Like this really, really captured me. And, kind of like my, offering a new way forward, not by solving life's problems, but by shifting how I hold them.
Right.
Because I am constantly in, here comes something, I got to solve that. And instead of how I'm holding them.
Right.
And this has been that's such a simple thing, but it's a huge shift in thinking. Because if you're just constantly, like I have been, trying to keep my head above water, doing well at work with the kids and, my husband and, trying to, maintaining that relationship, it's very, very hard. So I love that this says, I have a quiet kind of power that doesn't rely on everything being okay. And that's something that I think since I got this in May. I've been looking at it a lot, as you can tell. I've been poring over it and thinking about it. And when I got to the part about my innate qualities and the two innate qualities that I have that are in misalignment, and I'm happy to share, one of them is courage. I'm not flourishing, more or less, in that department, and optimism. Because I do know that I have courage, that I have done some things in my life that, took courage. Yeah. My mother would say I had a lot of chutzpah. That's what she would say. Yeah. And I was not afraid to move to a new city by myself, to switch careers. I was not afraid to get out of relationships that just weren't working. Like I was always very clear and had a lot of courage. And I was always very optimistic. I'm like, okay, well, I moved to New York. I have no money. Well, I'll figure it out. And I realized that for sure my courage and feeling brave in sort of some of the situations we've been dealing with, I definitely have not felt brave.
Got it.
And the optimism, and this is something that my husband and I talk a lot about, like his optimism is flourishing and mine isn't. And so we sometimes I would tell him, you're not listening to me, or just let me vent. But his take on it is, yeah, but this is good. Like, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. This is going to be good. And it was hard for me to find that optimism. And I'm working very hard on that. So that was something that was very, very interesting. The other thing that was like fascinating to me, my elements are mostly water. Like I'm 41% water. And it indicates a deep emotional sensitivity, empathy, and nurturing presence that strengthens my capacity for connection and reflection. I think that a lot of the people in my life would probably say, oh yes, Millicent.
That's Millicent, yeah.
But sometimes I don't see that. Or I don't give myself that type of grace. So, and then I also have a lot of fire. So I think that, because I do, I know that I have a healthy drive and passion. It, waxes and wanes, but I had never been exposed to anything like this before.
Right.
And, I want my husband to do this. I want my sister to do this. I want to kind of see how we all line up.
Right.
Especially my sister, because she was born 5 minutes after me. And when I was talking to Carolyn, my Leela Life guide, we agreed it would be great to have her do it. I don't know if you've ever done identical twins.
No, I don't
before.
recollect identical twins. I mean, I've come across a bunch of identical twins who I've looked at, not in a structured process like this, but just generally looked at. And so one thing I can tell you, a minute difference
I know
does make a difference.
I know.
In the way the science looks at it, in terms of the history of what that minute has meant for people over thousands of years, it can be quite different.
And what I think it will show is that my strengths balance her weaknesses. Her weaknesses balance my strengths.
That'd be interesting to figure that out.
And vice versa, because we are so connected that we can, feel each other emotions. We can feel, I know when she's down. She knows when I'm down. When we're happy, we're, really, really thriving. And I think that it'll be like a yin-yang situation, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, you will never know till you...
I'm not sure. Or it's going to be exactly the same, and we don't know. We don't know.
Although one thing I must tell you, that it's not just the time, which is one part of it. It's just every one of those things could be slightly different.
Yeah.
So the elemental composition that you think you have, which you now know to be the case, could be different for your sister.
That's true.
And so these changes even if they are small, they can actually be pretty profound in terms of the implication of that for innate qualities.
Inequalities.
Innate qualities, yeah, it could be quite
So we're
different.
going to I'm going to get her.
Yeah,
I'm going
that'd
to
be
get, there's one other thing I wanted to mention when it came to the energy centers. Again, I had to really educate myself on this because I had never been exposed to this. And I'm my third center, my Manipura, is that how you say it?
Manipura.
Willpower, clarity. It's just very, very interesting. That one was interesting. I mean, it didn't impact me as much as thinking about the qualities that aren't flourishing.
Yeah.
I think what I want to learn more about is the detachment, and what that means. That's something that, and I know there's a class that is offered, and that's something I really want to learn
Got it.
a lot more about.
Okay.
The last thing I'll say is that after I did this, and when I talked to Carolyn, and it was rather emotional, she sent me an email, and I was just sitting at my desk crying because I felt like so seen and so heard, and that was sort of like the icing on top of the cake, is that your Leela Life person
Was able to
really connect. She really, really was able to connect and talk to me about, she knew exactly what I needed to hear at that time. So it was wonderful.
And that's how we define ourselves. At one level, there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of great, timeless knowledge. But at another level, it's simply about being a well-informed and empathetic friend.
Right, yes.
That's how we describe
Yes.
ourselves. So
Oh,
it's
that's
not
great.
Yeah, so we're not trying to look
You're
at
not a
we're not trying to
No,
sort of
therapy, it's-
yeah, we're not going to sort you out in that way. We're
No.
going to help you as you go on your own journey, and we're going to support you in whatever way we can by giving you a way to see it, way to look at it, and all the frameworks and all of the stuff that you've seen already. But really, it's your journey. We
Yeah.
recognize that,
Yeah.
right? So, and to support. So, to be there while you're going through that is really our thing.
I really appreciate that. And I just want to say that I really look forward to working with you and Leela Life as you evolve and grow and use to the best of my ability, the skills that I have in public relations and thought leadership and media relations and all of that entails to make sure that it gets out there and that other people can benefit from it.
And which is really the larger objective,
Yeah.
is that there is a company, there is commerce, there's all of that.
Oh yeah, there's all of that.
There's all of that.
That
but
has
there's
to be cared for.
That has to be cared for because
Yeah.
that's the engine that enables us to take this and put it in front of lots more people.
Right.
So there is a commerce, but for me it's just the enabler.
Yeah, that's how I see it in a way.
And so welcome to the
Thank
to the
you.
tribe and the group and the family.
Thank
really.
you. I'm
So
so
it's-
happy to be here. It's so great to see you again.
Thank you very much.